Hi, this is Randall Mickelson from the Regulatory Intelligence Department in New York. I'm joined today by Richard Satrin, Senior Correspondent for Thomson Reuters Regulatory Intelligence. We are here today to talk about what Wall Street's regulators will be looking for when they examine firms this year. The two big overseers of U.S. financial markets, the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, have given the industry its annual heads up by listing the priority topics that examiners will be scrutinizing. Dick, ever since the financial crisis, regulators have been trying to balance protecting Wall Street, ensuring the stability of Wall Street, and protecting the interests of consumers and guarding against bad conduct in the industry. How are they balancing those priorities this year?
I think that they're pretty good at reading the landscape, and the big stories this year have really been about retail problems. Wells Fargo, a big study on bad brokers that had the Congress questioning FINRA. So there haven't been the kind of market collapses or flash crashes of the past. It's really more about what happens between the customer and the financial professional.
So a little more focus on protecting retail investors, protecting ordinary investors?
Yes, both the SEC and FINRA in their priorities led off with brokers, and that hasn't been the case in the past. It's really been more focused on topics of systemic risk and less on the front end, which has become a lot more important.
Now, I know both regulators are talking about the importance of data analytics and good, technology in their exams. How are compliance professionals likely to see that when the examiners come around?
It's threaded through almost every point that both the SEC and FINRA made in their examination priorities. And the way to prepare for that, of course, is to have good data. But also really to read it and cut the data and understand what it's telling you, because that's what the regulators are doing.
So they've been beefing up all their technology, and they expect the companies to do the same and to have those numbers ready?
Yes, the technology's in place. They can almost sit back and monitor things that took a lot of time in the past. So they're kind of branching out and applying technology in areas that they hadn't used it in before, like investor suitability and senior protections and a lot of brokerage concerns that show up if you sort the data. And that's what brokers should be doing as well at the compliance level.
And can they use that to spot bad brokers as well? Or are we finding that?
Yes, there's that concern that they should use the technology tools to assess what their operations risks are in terms of personnel, but also making sure that they provide the data and get their reports in on time for U5s and U4 filings that document the complaints and the disciplinary actions, because those are going to be important. They've been soaring, in the last few years in terms of the number of cases.
So, Dick, what can the regulators find with this new data? What's it letting them see that they haven't seen before?
Well, the bad broker story really shows how data can be used, and it's actually a case where FINRA's own data in BrokerCheck was used to show that that FINRA was maybe not noticing the concentration of bad brokers in the industry and the fact that so many are rehired. So just studying and understanding the data is so important for the firms.
Okay, and we know they'll be looking this year more at how those firms are monitoring brokers with a disciplinary history.
They'll be combing the data, and I think that brokers and compliance officers should be doing the same.
Now, how will compliance professionals know how they're doing? What these exams are finding? Are they going to be able to, adjust course midstream as some of these results come in?
Well, it's a great question, because this is a place where the regulators actually are trying to be helpful. FINRA's new president, Robert Cook, did a listening campaign and found out that people wanted to know more about what they should be doing to prepare for exams, and that's something they hadn't had in the past. So FINRA is going to have an interim report that will give a good cut at the data to let people know what's out there and what they should be looking at.
So they'll get to see that during the year and say, these guys are catching this, we better make sure our company doesn't have those problems.
Yes, it's a tool that FINRA is offering, and I think people should know that it's there and use it, because probably their sharpest competitors are going to be looking at it very closely.
Okay, so the Trump administration is promising a new era of regulation or deregulation in Washington. How is that likely to be reflected in the work of the regulators this year, who have already set their priorities, and examiners are preparing to start walking in the doors of firms now?
Well, the frontline regulators are pretty good at reading the political landscape and anticipating what might be out there. I think they were pretty prepared for what Congress started to do in terms of asking the SEC to do a cost-benefit analysis on every rule they make. And I think that the thrust of everything that FINRA and SEC are talking about is really to do risk calculation, but consider the value that they're offering to investors, but also, to firms.
Okay, so Congress wants the regulators to show their worth to the economy, and the regulators are going to be looking to firms to show their value.
That's right, and taking it a step further, the expectation is growing, and you hear it in a lot of comments of CEOs that they want compliance to take a role in helping the business determine risk-based businesses and opportunities.
Thank you, Dick, for your insights, and thanks to our audience for listening in today. Please check out risk.thomsonreuters.com. There you can get a taste of our daily offering of articles and learn more about our special reports, regional events, and webinars.